Finding and living in your purpose is actually critical to your health. And in this episode, my guest shares why. Hey, I'm Amanda, and welcome to the Best Damn Coach podcast, where I will teach you how to coach yourself, how to coach your clients, and how to run your coaching business. The number one goal of this show, though, is to help you be the best damn coach you can be so your clients go out and tell the world about you. So, let's do the damn thing. Hey coaches, before we dive into this week's episode, I'm so excited to tell you about an upcoming free workshop that I'm going to be hosting called How to Create Your Signature Coaching Framework That Actually Sells. Here's the reality. I'm going to drop some truth on you. By 2024, the coaching industry is projected to be over an $11 billion industry. And I know that you decided to be a coach because you want to serve people. And sometimes it feels a little bit frustrating when there's so many brilliant coaches out there, and it might feel impossible that you are going to be the one that stands out above the rest. And sometimes you get lost in those thoughts. You feel yourself slipping into these imposter feelings, wondering, why would somebody choose you? Or are you going to be able to actually get your clients the results that they came to you for? There can feel like there's so much you want to teach them, so much you quote unquote should teach them, that it feels overwhelming and you're not sure where to start and what best next step to take. Cue in your signature coaching framework. Why? Because ain't nobody going to do it like you do it. A signature framework is your methodology, your unique steps, a step-by-step process that you are going to walk your clients through time and time again so they get the exact results that they came to you for. And what I see is a lot of coaches don't actually have it, or they think, I don't have this yet. I haven't been doing this long enough. You are wrong. And that's why on June 28th at 9 a.m. Pacific, I am going to help you create and walk you through how to create your signature coaching framework so that every client that shows up with you gets the results they came to you for. But more importantly, you stand out above a sea of coaches who are doing the exact same things. So I would love for you to join me and don't miss out on this amazing workshop. You can sign up and save your seat at amanda-walker.com/framework. And throughout the process, I'm going to teach you the key to developing a signature framework that actually produces results. I'm going to help you understand some of the biggest mistake coaches make when creating their framework and what to do instead. So join me in this free workshop so you can guarantee that every client comes to you and walks away with the exact results they came to you for. Hello, all. Welcome to this week's episode of the BDC show. I am joined by the amazing Dr. Meghan Walker. I'm trying to remember, it's been a little bit, but I think we met in a virtual connection group sometime last year, and I had been following your work for years. And I was like, okay, universe, we were totally meant to meet up. So I'm excited that we're finally able to find our way together on the show. So thanks for joining me.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And we have really cool last names.
We do. Yeah. That was the thing that just sealed the deal.
Yeah, 100%. Before we get started though, would love for you to just kind of share with the audience your pathway of life. How did you end up doing what you are doing right now in the world?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So, I would say that I am an intentional entrepreneur who is by accident on this path. So, when I was in high school, I was told, it's not an option for you to just hang out in the summer. You've got to have a job. And I was like, all right, I'll get a job. And that felt so great and independent and all the things. And then I was fired from my first and only job I ever had. And my parents were like, it is not an option for you to now hang out in a realm of unemployment. You need to work. And I was like, I'm not working for people. No, this is incongruent with me. They're like, figure it out. So I did. And I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. So I was like, how do I spend my summer at the cottage on the lake and still satisfy this need to earn an income and have a summer job? And I looked at these islands in front of me And I went, I bet these people who are vacationing would love to have their island cottages cleaned. And so I got in my little tin boat and I went around to all the island cottages and I was like, hey, would you like your cottage cleaned so you can relax all summer? And it was the start of my entrepreneurial journey because someone said yes, and then someone else said yes, and then someone else said yes. And fast forward 2 years, I had 11 friends who worked for me, and I drove them around to all the cottages on the islands. And then I went back and sat on my dock and I went, I'm never going to work for anyone else ever again. I'm going to just build things that are in alignment with service and how I want to live my life. And so, fast forward, I had, some health issues when I was in high school and I was introduced to naturopathic medicine. And the practitioner that I saw asked me the most intelligent question any practitioner had asked me on my health journey. And he said, talk to me about how your body had always and historically responded to stress. And in that moment, I don't know what my answer was, and it isn't even important, but I was so struck by the intelligence of the question that I just threw this naturopathic medicine thing into my backpack of life experience, and I couldn't shake it. It went with me everywhere I went. I was like, any time I had to solve problems in university or in life, I'd come back to this thing and what's the root cause of the problem? And how do we dismantle it at the root cause and build a new solution? And so entrepreneurship and naturopathic medicine were these beautifully aligned things. So fast forward, I became a naturopathic doctor. I had this inclination and desire to work with entrepreneurs to optimize their health. I realized that I practiced a little bit differently. So I labeled my system of care Entrepology, the study of entrepreneurs and how do we optimize the performance of entrepreneurs in their health. And then I just kept building and I kept getting really clear my message. How do we reach millions of people with this root cause system of medicine? And I was very clear that I was more committed to that mission than the model in which it happened. And so I just kept building infrastructure in my life and in my business to help us reach more people. And so fast forward to today, I don't see patients anymore. I help other practitioners scale their influence and impact and the strength of their businesses with this mission of us reaching millions of people with what I think is the most powerful system of medicine available.
So amazing. I mean, that blows my mind when I hear stories like yours that entrepreneurship was just something that you could see. I'm mind blown because it's just I didn't have access to that type of thinking. I think I was so in the box of this is what you do. However, I see my son and he's recently started a shoe cleaning business. He's like, nobody ever has time to clean shoes. So he's created his own proprietary cleaning solution. My laundry room has turned into his area. People drop shoes off. I helped him develop his offers. And I just think it's so cool to your girls to be modeled that as well. And to see how it's, snowballed, because I'm pretty sure I read, forgive me if I'm off, but you sold your first practice you were still in school or something like that, right? Is that true?
Well, I sold my first business, which was this cleaning business. And that's how I helped pay for grad school. We had this big list and roster of clients and we had all these systems and I had employees who worked for me for the summer. And so I found the next generation of cake and eat it too entrepreneurs and sold that business forward, passed it forward to them. And it was really just from that point moving forward, it doesn't even occur to me to solve problems in a traditional, well, let's go out and get a job kind of way. It's how do we build something? And it's so true with kids. And I know you've got kids too. I don't know if these kids are going to have opportunities for secure employment. I don't think they'll have opportunities for secure employment. They'll have opportunities for employment, but the entrepreneurial spirit and energy and mechanism of thinking is going to be something they'll all need to succeed in the world. And so I'm excited to show that to them and normalize that for them, because I think it's going to be a huge asset for them as they head out into their version of the world beyond school.
Yeah, it's helping just ingrain in them literally anything that you can dream of, you have the capacity to create.
Right.
It's truly limitless. But as a teacher, I taught high school for 10 years. That wasn't even, my husband's was a police officer. Teaching was a very traditional service space, pour your heart out, work hard, get paid very little, get the badge of honor. And I'm so grateful to see that is an option for some people and it's no longer for me. So thank you for figuring that out. I would love to dive in. You recently released a book and I'd love for you to share a little bit about the book and how you became inspired to write it.
Yeah. So my book is called Impact Medicine. And I really started to recognize that, and I fundamentally believed, and I know a lot of people share this belief, that the system that manages illness is ill-equipped to build health. And I had all these practitioners I worked with who have these incredible tools at their disposal to build health. And yet where they were confronted with a challenge was when they went to take that education and that system of healing and then deploy it as a business. And I don't just mean the business schools. I mean, literally they went, I don't know how to start with a blank canvas. So I'm just going to do natural health things, but model the traditional model, meaning someone's going to come see me. They're going to tell me their problems and I'm going to give them stuff and they're going to go home and then they're going to come back and then they're going to go home and we're going to play ping pong with their health. But I'm going to use natural things instead of drugs and pharmaceuticals. And I'm going to give them more time, but the model actually didn't change. And what I started to realize as I worked with more and more practitioners, and at this point, thousands of practitioners in their practice, is that people, when they go and seek the care of a naturopathic doctor or functional medicine doctor or health coach or whoever's working in that allied health space, they are not looking for transactional care. They are looking for a transformation in their health. And the biggest opportunity, I think, for the natural health space, and this is a $4.2 trillion global industry, this is a massive industry, is to recognize that their primary patients who are looking for help have all been dumped at this thing I call the line of fine. And the line of fine is the standard of health the traditional system dumps everybody onto. You know what? I know you're tired, but I've looked at your blood work. Amanda, you're fine. You're fine. You're just in the busy phase of life, right? You finish your cancer treatments and they go, now what do I do so I don't get this again? And your doctor goes, just eat healthy. You're fine. Stop worrying about it. So we do this. We echo this notion of you're fine all the time. And we have this huge number of health consumers who are going, wait a second, I want something more. And the traditional system literally has zero education, acumen, capacity, or interest to pick people up at that line of fine and go, yeah, let's move you to your potential. And I say that with total sincerity. My husband's a physician and I'm like, Greg, summarize for me what you learned in medical school about nutrition. And he looks at me, he's like, don't eat salt. And then that's it. Like, we're done, right? Like he's like, that is it. And he's also concerned about how much salt I have.
Well, it's funny because I started in the health and nutrition space and I attracted so many physicians and PAs because I have a strong science background. And they're like, we were taught nothing. Help us.
Right. And so the book is how to design a system of care delivery and a business that picks people up at the line of fine. And what I really want to do for practitioners, and listen, a huge amount of our audience are women and they've got kids and they're burning out and all these things. What I want to do for practitioners is give you an option for income beyond just your one-on-one practice. You don't have to give that up. But what we help people identify are 10 plus streams of income in their practice. So there is less financial risk for them. There's less burnout risk for them. They give themselves options into the future, which is exactly what they do as health practitioners, is give people more options and quality of life into the future. So I just wanted to help design a business model that would enable them to be able to walk the talk in terms of what they do. And we put it all into impact medicine.
So powerful. Like my own personal journey, entrepreneurship, and my husband was able to retire early. We've also learned so much through just the traditional health insurance and some of the beliefs and things wrapped up in health insurance. And it's been so empowering stepping away from that model and creating like that for ourselves. And so it's so cool just to like hear you be at the really leading the charge, I think, in so many ways to see what's possible for like-minded practitioners to follow along. You talk about self-actualization through the book, and we were kind of, before we went on, talking about this comparison. But could you speak a little bit to that and just the journey? You talk about these 10 revenue streams. I'm of course, like, curious, like, what are they that aren't the typical? But maybe you could share a little bit of insight around that.
Yeah. So, part of this is, I have people who are like, of course I can dream up 10 revenue streams, Megan, no problem. I've got my practice and I've got my dispensary and that argument sort of held a little bit and bought people time until we hit the pandemic. And then when governments and regulators and colleges suddenly went to all these practitioners, you can't see patients for a period of time. We don't know what you're going to say, or we're going to have to shut your doors. Or we're going to have to change the way you interact with patients. Suddenly what practitioners realized is that all of their income streams were actually predicated on that one-on-one visit piece. And they didn't actually reduce their risk at all. So when we talk about, creating these 10 streams of income, part of it is acknowledging that not everyone is ready or wants to actually see you one-on-one. And a huge amount of money, but more importantly, inspiration to people who are looking to move past that line of fine is left on the table because we have, I think, over-indexed the importance of one-on-one care. We're like, oh, everyone wants to see us one-on-one. And it always makes me laugh because if I think about what I do with someone in a one-on-one appointment, yes, you get to spend 90 minutes with me. And yes, we're going to go deeper on your health than anyone has ever had the time or energy to go on your health before. And yes, I'm also going to ask you about how much alcohol you drink and how long you've been sexually active. And I'm going to want to know about that abortion at the age of 16 and the fact that you drink alcohol to put yourself to sleep at night because your life is so stressful and you don't love your job and you're not sure you're like your husband. And so suddenly what is supposed to be the most amazing experience of your life, unless your life's like pretty well contained and you've done some work, this is one of the most vulnerable, exposing opportunities you are actually going to ever face. And what happens is a lot of people go, whoa, if my only option to move past fine is to sit and have to be that vulnerable with another person on day one, I don't think this is for me. And so part of looking for those streams of income is acknowledging what does the patient journey look like? What does the life journey look like of someone who puts their hand up and goes, I want something better than fine, but maybe not like an hour and a half talking about my bowel movements. And so part of it is really mapping out what that journey looks like, what those states of readiness are that people need to move through. We've acknowledged that there's multiple streams of income at each of the 4 different stages that we've identified patients move through. There's probably more, but we simplified it to 4 places. And then really looking at people's businesses and going, what are the main pressure points in your business? Do you want more time freedom? Do you need more money right now? What is it that we need to build next for you so you can have your cake and eat it too lifestyle?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so let's sub practitioners with coaches, because I think exactly what you're saying is similar to what, our coaches listening can see themselves is not everybody wants or is ready to invest in one-to-one coaching. Even if at their core, they're like, I know this will change my life. I have to share like all the areas where I'm falling short, self-perception, right? Or all the areas where I'm afraid to take action. And so that keeps them from just watching, like, I want that thing and I am not ready. So that's so important for us as coaches to think about how do we design a business that supplies those opportunities and, to diversify those income streams as well.
Yeah. And really quickly, let me just share what those sort of 4 stages are, because they're really similar between practitioners and coaches or financial planners, like anyone who's moving someone to a place where they're moving them through transformation, or you're really getting people to invest in their future state. People are going to move through similar outcomes. So that first phase that people are going to move through as they are standing on the line of fine is an aspirational phase where they have this acknowledgement, holy smokes, my life can be better than it is right now. And they're not going to go from that realization to a $20,000 coaching investment. What they're going to do is they're going to sit on this little tool, we call it our phone, on a platform like Instagram, and they're going to go, whoa, I like her message. Ooh, I like his message. That totally resonates. Oh, I don't like them. Hey, honey, did you know that smoothies will help lower my LDL cholesterol? We have these boom moments for free. And what we're looking for is really who do I trust? Whose message do I resonate with? Who's inspiring me to take action in my daily life? You can transform someone's life for free on Instagram or other social media platforms. That's why I like them.
Yeah, me too.
Right? So that's that aspirational phase. From aspiration, what happens is people will start to experiment. They'll go, you know what? I've never done this before, but I think I'm going to spend a little bit of money. And I'm going to invest in myself in a way I've never invested in myself before. And so that first foray that people take, that is a huge and important jump that any of your clients or your patients are going to take. That's that first area of opportunity. That's where we move people from following us to engaging and purchasing from us. But again, they're not going to buy usually $1,000 program. They're going to buy, something less than $250 or less than $400. And they're going to want a mini transformation, and you darn well better deliver it to them. Not 18 outcomes, not I'm going to change all their habits. No, what is one habit you can change that's going to really, really move the needle for them? And we're going to engender deeper trust. And when we've done that, now we have sort of 2 roads that people move to. Some people will be like, I'm ready. I want to go all in. I've tasted the Kool-Aid, as it were. I'm ready to work with Amanda one-on-one. I'm ready to make that investment. And we'll have other people go, my life was totally transformed. I love Amanda. I don't know if I need to work with her one-on-one, but what else does she have? You can move 2 places from that first purchase. You move deeper into working with someone strategically, or we move into a phase where we're I just want to grow with her. And so if it's a medical practice, they move to working with you one-on-one. And if it's any other type of practice, they can work with you one-on-one, or they can move into any type of growth model. So medically speaking, this would be a group program or a membership, or we can get so creative. This is about giving people access to people now like them. People like us do things like this, as Seth Godin would say. And so there's a huge opportunity once someone's moved through even a minor transformation for them to have ongoing growth because they get to hang out with other people just like them. There's like 8 different business models we could talk about that overlie that phase of realization for someone. I encourage clinicians to really understand the health outcomes you want to deliver for someone before you build programming. And when I talk to coaches or other entrepreneurs, I really encourage them to understand the outcome their clients are looking for at each of these phases before they start to build programs. But if you can understand at which of these phases someone is ready to engage, it's really easy to turn around and build programming that is in alignment with their state of readiness.
Yeah, I love that you're speaking to this, because this is one of the common mistakes I see with coaches. I feel as though the industry portrays become a coach or decide to shift, right? There's so many women and even men that I work with that have like, they're content experts and they're just deciding to pivot towards kind of the coaching consulting realm. And the perception is often you make a decision and tomorrow, the clients are going to flock to you, and all of a sudden, and then there are, of course, those people that have built a following or have built a community that are ready. And for the majority of people, we have to see that this is it's a dating process, right? It's let me build the trust. I wouldn't meet my husband and marry him tomorrow. I want him to show me he is who he says he is, right? I want him to show me that he can solve my pain and love me as I am. And I think this is a misunderstanding that we often have inside probably your, helping practitioners and also coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we can just, the one thing I just really encourage people to step back is like, we try to overthink it, right? We get all obsessed with like, oh, I don't know what you mean. And give me 10 examples. Just literally step back. Think of these 3 stages. I call them quadrants because I don't think it's always linear. And just think about some of the things someone in that state of readiness would want or would need. And if you need an example, to start with yourself, because usually we attract people who are like us. They're the easiest people to attract. Don't try to attract people who are totally different than you. Try to attract people who are like you. Plot out your own journey, your own investment journey as you've moved into this space, and start to understand some of the similarities, how you can start to design some of your offers. And your offers are just opportunities to accelerate people, how you can create these acceleration tools that match those various states.
Yeah, so good. I'd love for you to speak a little bit. I've seen you make posts of similar nature, but why is it actually important to how we feel, to our health, to be doing like the work that we love in our day in day lives?
Yeah. I love this question, and I could talk about it day in and day out. When I was in practice, I was right down in the downtown core of Toronto. And while I predominantly worked with entrepreneurs, I also attracted a lot of executives just by proxy of my location and, relationships and referrals. And one thing I noticed that was just so different is that my entrepreneurs got healthier faster. And I was like, I don't get it. Like, you have access to similar education, socioeconomic stratification. You're hanging out in the same places. You're meeting each other for drinks at the same locations. Like, what the heck is different between these two? And so I started to dig into it just with the nature of my questioning. And then what I realized is I kind of landed on this topic of purpose. I was like, holy smokes, my entrepreneurs are coming in here with a really clear sense of what their purpose is at any given moment. They had clarity around that piece. And the individuals I worked with I call it in the towers, some of them had an entrepreneurial spirit. They didn't own it the same way. They couldn't identify it the same way. They were going through the motions, the thing that kept them in those jobs, unless they really loved them. But I'll be honest, most of them didn't really love them. Were more like expectations of my parents who are now 85 years old, or, the golden handcuffs, or they were there for different reasons. And so I really got clear and started to investigate more around purpose. And what I found is that when people had a clear sense of purpose, they got better faster and they got sick less often than people who didn't. And then I was like, there's got to be something to this. So I went into the literature. I was like, someone else must have observed this, because it's not real unless it's published. And so I went into the published literature, and lo and behold, huge bodies of research around purpose. And what we found was amazing. People had less incidence of cardiovascular disease, neurological conditions, less incidence of cancer. They tended to live longer. If someone had had a previous cardiovascular event, found their purpose, worked in alignment, or took action every day in alignment with their purpose, their risk of recurrence, meaning their risk of it happening again, dropped by 72%. If you're in medicine and you hear that, you're like, she is lying. And if you're anybody else, you have no context. There is no pharmaceutical on planet Earth that comes close to dropping your risk. There's no diet that comes close to dropping your risk like that. So imagine you compound purpose with healthy eating and exercise and awesome community and friends, like you're going to live forever. But I realized that this question and this investigation in terms of understanding what it is that we do, this became a cornerstone of my work and really helping people unpack what it is and connect to what it is, because it was a massive determinant of their health.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it doesn't blow me away, but what I love about it is we can actually say, here's the evidence. Like, you have permission because your health is going to benefit. And at the end of the day, if we don't have our health, then like we have nothing. I think that it's so powerful to put that. I love, connecting things to ROI, and there you go. There's your ROI, even outside of the monetary piece, right? And it's, we act in our lives as though the money is the most precious resource. So we're willing to put ourselves in this recurring cycle over and over to attract a paycheck, when in actuality, to make the shift and allow that part to kind of be like lesser on the priority list, there's so much power in that beyond what we ever really knew.
100%. And this is the whole idea of having a cake and eat it too business. So impact in impact medicine is an acronym, and the I stands for intention. And the biggest mistake I see when I'm working with newer practitioners as they build their business, or the ones who are stuck, they have no clarity around what they actually want. Oh, I want to hit 6 figures. Oh, I want this. Oh, I want a house in Costa Rica. I do want a house in Costa Rica, but it's the why behind it. It's, what is your purpose? What is your work you want to do here on the planet? What gets you excited every single day? And how many hours a week do you actually want to work? And do you want to walk your kids to and from school? Like, lay down all the things that you want to have be true. And now let's build a business model that works in alignment with those pieces, not the other way around. Like, put the big rocks in first. There's so much room in the realm of entrepreneurship to do it your way. And when you do it your way, you're going to attract more people who also want to do it their way. They're going to be inspired by that. But you've got to put those big rocks in first. In today's day and age, there's always a solution out of, I hate my job. I hate my work. I don't like my clients. You might not have it tomorrow, but you shift that intention. There are 1,000,001 ways to get you closer to where you want to be.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between being motivated by pain versus being motivated by vision. Right? One is not a sustainable form of, long-term transformation. And so I think when we learn that as a society, like together, collectively, we're so much more powerful.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, big rocks first. There's the epic mic drop moment for you today. You're a wealth of information, and I love not just hearing your journey, but anything I can do to support more of your work, because, those of us that are not practitioners and in the medical community, we need more of you. So while I invited you on the show today because you are, in your zone of genius, I think that truthfully, like, this is so powerful for me to be able to spread you to an audience that may not have otherwise been able to have access to, like, the work you're doing is so powerful, because I hope that, practitioners in my area can keep hearing that this is possible and you can get out of traditional boxed thinking and create whatever you want.
You can create whatever you want.
Yes, exactly. So would you mind sharing where my listeners can connect with you? Where's the best place and where they can find the book as well?
Yeah. So you can access the book, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, my own website. I'll link you up to all of the places if you come and hang out with me on Instagram. And my handle on Instagram is just at Dr. Meghan Walker. And that's sort of the platform from which we share offerings for entrepreneurs at large, as well as for practitioners. And I love to hang out with all these concepts and break them open on my own podcast, which is called Impact with Meghan Walker.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing today. I'm just honored to spend time with you.
Thanks, Amanda. It was great to be here.
one of the most important things you will ever do as a coach is ask questions. So I've put together a simple go-to resource that you can have in your back pocket as a coach of 10 powerful questions I believe every coach should know. So go ahead and head on over to amanda-walker.com/questions to grab yours now.